Scott, you have anything?
Yeah, both Astrie's and John's points are very well taken, and I kind of agree with on both sides. You know, I think our acquisition of the Civic Center was something for us to use as we're using it now, but in my perspective, I think it can also be a revenue generating opportunity there as well to help offset not only the maintenance costs of the building, but also these things that we do to the building, for instance, the HVAC system we had put in, the elevator we want to put in, and things like that. So there is, I believe, some potential in generating, besides through fundraising, other revenues to the building, because in my opinion, although the seniors use it, the health department uses it, the teens use it, and we have Project Community Pride that's in the front, although it's separate from the rest of the building, it is somewhat of an underutilized building, and I think by some creative utilization of that building, we can generate some revenue.
From
out of
whom?
it.
How would you, where would you get the revenue?
Oh, I'll be just chime in one thing that came, I remember a couple of years ago, there was a author that wanted to do a book signing, and it was, I guess it was meant to be a fundraiser. And it was Gary Ruckelhaus went to Jim Allison and said, can we rent the facility? Because it's I guess the community house was booked, and we'd like to have this book signing, or they were turned down. Well, no, you can't use it. So, I mean, you could have little events and things. Use it as an all-purpose room or another public space, one that we really don't have other than when we can use the community house. Bob, do you have any thoughts? You're sitting there with that gleam in your eye.
No, it's nothing to add right now. Tough to come in the middle of the conversation, but I certainly get the general theme here. It is, as I said, and John's right, it's been a money pit, but it's our money pit, and so we've got to tackle it, and I certainly somewhat comfortable with the concept of trying to put money towards it if there's a partnership with community block grant and other sources. But it's not the best way to invest our money, but I think we're stuck.
Yeah, I kind of agree with all the discussions here. I just look at the building and particularly how it's partitioned. It seems like our seniors really deserve better than the facility that we can offer at this point. But of course, in the ideal world, we went to the League of Municipalities. We saw a presentation. I think if you all saw a presentation of Senior Center of tomorrow's seniors, which include all of us here. It's great. It's not the arts and crafts. It's a lot of wellness, fitness, health-related type of programs in these beautiful facilities. But of course, that's the ideal world. With unlimited funding, we'll be able to do that, which we don't have. So with that said, of course, I also agree that I just don't think that we're going to get any return on investment by investing any more into that building. But with that said, don't really have a solution.
Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, bottom line, I support funding construction of an elevator in the senior center this year. I don't have a real long memory, but I have a long enough memory to go back to the campaign in the fall of 2008. And in that campaign, 3 present members of the council and 2 other candidates, one of whom sitting in the audience, all supported the construction of the elevator. In fact, I think my words were that I found it hard to believe that we had a senior center with a second floor, and yet no elevator to get to the second floor. look, I understand and agree with all the observations that have been made about the relative worth or value of that building. The tough look, I think I was among the first on the council to speak out in terms of the tough financial situation we're in this year and the need to cut. But I think we have to find a place for these funds. I think Austria said it earlier this evening, you'll go out 5 years from now, and we'll still be discussing this issue if we don't fund it now, because other things will come up, there'll be other priorities. Look, the senior citizens of the town deserve something as well. We spend a lot of time on other projects, including ball fields, and I think it's time to do something for them. And I'm not so sure I would, in terms of how we fund it, that I would require as much as $80,000 or more from them. We are talking about senior citizens, which I assume have limited resources. Certainly not the, and certainly I'm going to assume, and I may be incorrect on that assumption, that they wouldn't have the kind of resources to raise funds that some 2,000 parents of kids playing baseball would have, or other sports in town to contribute towards fields. So that's where I stand on it.
John?
Robert, what was our, before we get to these 3 capital budget items, what was the total commitment to date for the '09 capital budget? Just so I can keep a running total in my head.
Well, the document that we discussed 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
the total was $2,426,663. Just call it 2.4. Of the 2.4, 850,000 was from projects from '07 and '08 that
Right.
we did not fund permanently.
Right.
So new money, new municipal general capital would be, excluding anything we discussed tonight, would be $1,576,000.
So if we added the 170 to this, we're up to about what, 165?
1740.
Okay.
Which is not to mean, John, we don't take something away from the 1.57.
No, but I don't want to be doing this stuff in a vacuum, Dan. I think we need to understand what our commitment to would be with or without these 3 items, so that we understand that we may have more homework to do in revisiting the items that we had, at least
Right.
preliminarily, accepted as capital projects for 2009.
I agree.
All right, why don't we put that one on the side for a moment? Let me address the Lincoln Place item. We've already funded for Project Public Spaces for their study for this year. They are not even gonna be able, I mean, they've been out and they have gotten started, they've done the time-lapse photography. We're not gonna see a plan that's gonna be able to go out to bid and executable this year. They're going to be starting with the stakeholders meeting at the end of April, April 29th, as a matter of fact, might as well say it's May. That's gonna take some interaction. They'll have to initial design, they'll have to go through the council. Even if we had a project, there's other work, water line work that would have to be done, or, so I would say there's really, and unless, Ray, you've heard of anything from Jim Burnett that needed to be, or Bob Vogel that needed to be done at that,
Nope.
I would say you can probably put that off
Well,
till
that's-
next year.
Well, that's $200,000 then, and that would free up money for the elevator. There's 100 in sanitary sewer and 100 in electric for Lincoln Place for the streetlights.
Except for the electric was electric. that
Electric
was-
were fixtures.
But that was electric capital though.
Right.
That's correct.
So we
It's
don't-
not general, I mean, it's the expenditure
Yeah.
of funds, but it's a different
right,
pot.
yeah.
No,
So-
understood.